Welcome to Oops! That worked, where happy accidents become everyday essentials. Alright, let's be honest. If you've ever used a kitchen knife, played a sport, or tried assembling furniture without reading the instructions, chances are you've needed one of these, the Band-Aid. But did you know this tiny, everyday lifesaver was actually a total accident? Yep, one man's love for his accident-prone wife changed the world of first aid forever. Let's dive into the sticky story of how Band-Aids went from a homemade hack to a billion-dollar business. Our story begins in the 1920s with Earle Dickson, a guy who worked for Johnson & Johnson. His wife, Josephine, was an amazing cook, but also, let's just say, a little too good at testing the sharpness of knives on her own fingers. Almost daily, Josephine was getting little nicks and burns, and Earle, being the caring husband he was, had to keep playing nurse. Now, imagine having to wrap a full roll of gauze around a tiny cut every single time. Talk about overkill. So, Earle had an idea. He took a strip of adhesive tape, placed little pieces of gauze along it, and covered it with fabric to keep it sterile. That way, Josephine could just peel one off and slap it onto her next culinary casualty without calling in the first aid brigade. Earle thought he was onto something, so he brought his idea to his bosses at Johnson & Johnson. Their response? Meh. At first, they weren't convinced. Who needs tiny bandages? They thought. People are fine wrapping their whole hand in gauze like a mummy, right? But Earle didn't give up. He kept pushing the idea, and eventually, Johnson & Johnson decided to give it a shot. The first Band-Aids weren't exactly the easy peel wonders we know today. They were sold in huge sheets, and you had to cut them yourself. Imagine trying to handle scissors with one hand while the other is bleeding. Not exactly user-friendly. Sales were pretty slow at first, until Johnson & Johnson had a brilliant idea. They started handing out free Band-Aids to Boy Scouts because if anyone is guaranteed to scrape a knee or get a splinter, it's a troop of kids running through the woods. And guess what? It worked. Scouts told their families, and suddenly Band-Aids became a must-have in every home. By the time World War II rolled around, Band-Aids were being mass-produced and included in every soldier's first aid kit. From there was no stopping them. They kept improving, adding waterproof versions, fun designs for kids, and even superhero-themed Band-Aids. Because let's be real, a cut definitely heals faster when there's a cartoon character involved. Today, over 200 Band-Aids are sold every second. And to think, it all started because one husband was tired of wrapping up his wife's cooking wounds like a Christmas present. So, next time you slap one of these on, remember, you're not just covering a cut. You're carrying on a love story, an innovation, and a solution to the age-old problem of, oops, I did it again. And now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go heroically recover from this tragic paper cut. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out the quiz linked below. See you next time on Oops, That Worked.